U.S. military showing strength for peace.
And I do, like I said earlier, apparently there is naval assets being moved to the region, which, if nothing else, send a signal that we are certainly prepared if need be. But speaking
Yeah.
of military might, as you mentioned, I think that's the next thing we want to at least touch upon briefly for those that missed it. We did have the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, which comes in advance of even the existence of the United States as a country, which we will be celebrating this summer. And obviously, we have year-long celebrations in the United States this coming year. But for those that didn't see it, it was on the same day that we covered earlier was the No King's Day. I find the whole thing somewhat amusing and ridiculous because, yes, it is because of the military that we don't have kings. So they should have just gone to the parade in DC and enjoyed that, or celebrated the same 250th, or maybe even celebrated Trump's birthday. But if they didn't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. But we have a compilation of some of what was seen in DC during this. I think we just want to play that just for those that missed it.
Completely in high-stakes missions. They have a standard walk speed of 2 miles per hour and are working towards 6.7 miles per hour sprint.
Okay, we're going to watch the cake cutting 250th
Congress
birthday.
enshrined into
Here we
law
go.
the creation of a continental army. We celebrate and honor that historic act through the long-standing tradition of cutting the birthday cake with an army saber. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us as we count down from 3. 3, 2, 1.
I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause our flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
This is beautiful and very patriotic. And
Incredibly
yeah, I
good.
mean, I have to say the American military is the greatest and most powerful military in all of human history. There's never been anything to even get close to it in terms of might and power and influence and size. And they've consistently proven that usually, no, I mean, the military always has been on the right side of history, especially when it comes to the real big battles between kind of evil and good. And not every battle is like that. The war in Vietnam is much more argued upon, rightfully, and to a certain degree, the war in Korea and the war in Afghanistan, right? There are different sides to everything. And there were mistakes like invading Iraq, etc. But overall, when shit hits the fan, it's the United States Army that is really there to save the world. And maybe a lot of Americans don't want to be the policemen of the world anymore, and they don't. And America shouldn't be involved in every single conflict. But when it really comes to standing between good and evil, it's phenomenal that we have the United States. Just to add a note, I think dictatorships do military parades more accurate, and we definitely don't march as well as the North Korean or Iranian military marches are. That said, just like we were discussing earlier, it's not just been an Israeli policy that Iran can't get a nuke. It's been an American policy. Every single president have said that time and time again, that under no circumstances they will not allow Iran to get a nuke. So this was something Israel could have just said, hey, America, you promised, you said 1,000 times that you'll do it. You'll make sure that Iran never gets a nuke, including Trump. You said that Iran will never get a nuke. Now is the time to go ahead and do it. But instead, Israel just decided to take it all on itself. Almost all. Of course, many Israelis want the Americans to join, because who doesn't want the most powerful military in the world by your side, the ones with bases right there surrounding Iran from every direction. It's a whole lot more simple for the United States to attack Iran than it is for Israel. But we really are thankful for this phenomenal military. And I really think that the way originally I was hesitant and like, why is Trump not joining in? And he did say 60 days and that expired. But I think it was a very smart maneuver, because he gets to keep his pose as the peacemaker. And yet still, like we said, Israel can do most of it on their own. And we are very thankful as Americans for the most amazing army in the world. And anytime I see soldiers, I'd like to thank them for their service.
And I think for those that aren't looking at this correctly, the United States made a good, smart, strategic decision, and I think it took the right steps and is positioning itself the way it needs to position itself. It's not about just getting into wars. And as we mentioned, and you specifically brought up in the previous podcast episode of ours, Trump was in his first presidency and intends this time to not be a president of war, but one of peace, if at all possible. And he basically explains what needs to be done to have peace and what would happen if those things aren't done. We'll see what happens. The display of military might, I think, came at a very smart time. And if you heard as to how this kind of came to be, President Trump indicated that he was in France and he's talking to other world leaders too, and they're all having their celebrations of the victory in World War II. And he was like, well, wait a minute. The United States won the war. The United States went and basically saved France on the beaches of Normandy. Basically, how come we're not celebrating? And we really aren't. For all the people that say, oh, we have 4th of July. That's not the same. That's our independence. That's when the country was formed. But the military victories that we've had, we really don't celebrate the way other countries do. And they do. And it made sense for a number of reasons for us to celebrate as well. And it's peace through strength, to indicate, look, this is where we've been, this is what we can do, this is what we have. We don't want to be at war, but we have the strength to prevent that as well.
You have to also show that you're willing to use the strength, because if you just threaten, Barack Obama had the American military behind him. And during his presidency, I used to say that Putin was a lion leading a military that's a sheep, because Putin is this strong man and he rides bears shirtless and he drives tanks and flies planes and he's like this macho man, right? So he's like a lion. But the Russian military, this is before they even invaded Ukraine, I was very clear about the fact that they are a very weak military and they just appear strong, but they're extremely weak because of the corruption and everything else. Whereas what I would say under the Obama period was that America was a lion with the head of a sheep, because Obama was a sheep in his foreign approach to everything and was about being timid and backing off at every possible juncture, even though the American military was mighty as can be. And I think the military is better now, but what's important is to not just be a lion, but to have a leader that is a lion. Because if you're a lion, like America has been for the last few decades, but was led by a sheep or by multiple sheeps, it just makes you seem weak, right? So it's not just peace through strength, but it's also showing that when time comes and strength is needed, you are willing to use it, because otherwise that strength gets tested and they call your bluff, right?
May strength bring peace. Be sure to watch our other clips and shorts and the entire episode 15 of the Yojo Show podcast.